How we doing, fellas? Yeah, it's kind of late. Got to this late today. So, anyways, before the weekend screwed things around on me, I was working on Ice Age. I finished sorting through that second block of Ice Age, and I'm rather disturbed by the fact that I found no ColdSnap in it. That means in the 2 boxes of Ice Age I had, there was no ColdSnap. I know I have some ColdSnap. The question now becomes, where the bloody blue blazes is it? Oh well. So let's talk about a few things in Ice Age. Something not specifically Ice Age. We here have the illustrations for Cooperation and Unusual Allies. The art style on them is both kind of comical. This is pretty much the trademark of one Phil Folio. Yeah, the G in his name is silent. Anyways, I'm not going to say Phil Folio isn't a good artist. I mean, the man knows what he's doing. He has his style. A style that he largely shares with a Kaja Folio. I got in the habit of pronouncing the G a long time ago, so I'll sometimes flub it. But anyway, yeah. I believe Kaja's his wife. So, I mean, I don't particularly like saying this because for the most part, I find Phil's work amusing, but I don't really think for the most part that he's right for Magic the Gathering. On the other hand, there are several unhinged cards, I believe Unglued and Unhinged, or is it just Unglued? I can't remember, that are done in his style, but credited to one Claymore J. Flapdoodle. I'll let you guys decide who that really is. Ice Age Alliances. Enduring Renewal. This card became the centerpiece of a lot of combos. 2 colors and double white for an enchantment. You play with your hand face up. If you draw a creature card, discard it. Whenever a creature goes to your graveyard from play, put it in your hand. That used to be used with ornithopters and sacrifice outlets. The original version of it was you use a Dwarven Warrior to make your Atog unblockable, and then you'd make him infinitely large by feeding an ornithopter to it. It goes to the graveyard, Enduring Renewal puts it back in your hand, recast it because it's a 0 cast creature. Yeah! There was an infinite mono combo with used Ornithopter and Ashnod's Altar, which was a 3 colorless artifact. You sacrifice a creature for 2 colorless mana. Ashnod's Altar many years later would see play in Sliver Queen combos, which in fact I have at least one Ashnod's Altar in my Sliver deck. But oh well. Fun card, funky card, does weird stuff. Got reprinted in Time Spiral too, if I recall correctly. Sol Grail comes 3 colorless artifact, comes into play. Choose a color. Tap for 1 mana of the chosen color. It's alright. It's not bad. Obscure side note, the name is an anagram for gorillas, because they had a strong gorilla theme going on in Alliances. Jeez. Ice Cauldron. No, you can't really make that out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's 11 lines of rules text. 11. I think that's a record. I think it's a record. Vexing Arconics used to be called, nicknamed amongst our playgroup back in the day, Vexing Annoyance. 4 colorless, 3 colorless, and tap. Target player names a card and then reveals top card of their library. If it's the named card, goes into their hand. Otherwise, Arconics does 2 damage to them. These days, that really wouldn't be a terrifyingly bad card because of how much scry there is running around, especially when you got Crystal Ball, which is an artifact available to every color. Blah 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 blah. Kid science, fun stuff. Jester's Mask and Jester's Cap were both popular cards back in the day. The Cap mostly, significantly more so than the Mask. Basically what the mask does is you look through your opponent's hand, graveyard, and library. Right, what's hand? Nope, hand and library, I'm sorry, and give them a new hand of the exact same size of their old one. So for example, using the mask, you could basically give your opponent a hand of nothing but lands. Or if somehow or another you powered the mask out early when they didn't have any lands, you could just give them a handful of huge casting cost creatures. Note that could backfire on you if they were playing Reanimator. Jester's Cap was really powerful because at the time it was pretty much the only card ever printed that let you look through your opponent's deck and remove cards. These days that effect has been done several more times and significantly more efficiently. Lake of the Dead, a redonkulously powerful mana production card. When it comes in, you sacrifice a swamp. You can tap it for black, or you can tap it and sacrifice a swamp for quadruple black. That's neat stuff. And I'm dumping cards all over the place. Stop it. Icy Manipulator, which at the time was not in print. It wasn't in Revised, it wasn't in 4th edition. It got reprinted in Ice Age. Artist by the name of Amy Weber. I usually like her art. I absolutely despise the Ice Age art for Icy Manipulator. And it, you know, what can I say? But, you know, the Manipulator itself is a great card. We got Zur's Weirding, which does weird things to games with 3, 4, 5 players. Pretty much everyone plays with their hand face up. Whenever a player draws a card, they reveal it, and any player may pay 2 life to force them to pitch that card. That's nice stuff. Despotic Scepter mostly was used in stasis decks. You tap it to destroy a permanent you control. Well, yeah, destroy without regeneration, technically. Arkham's Weathervane, which can convert snow-covered lands into non-covered lands and vice versa. The snow-covered mechanic was not something they did a whole hell of a lot with. Sometimes it was advantage, sometimes it was drawback. For instance, right here we have Withering Wisps. It's basically a lower casting cost version of Pestilence, but you can only pay black mana equal to the number of snow-covered swamps you control, so there was a really nasty limit on it. And that doesn't go there, it goes there. But then you had Legions of Lim-Dûl, which had snow-covered Swamp Walk. So, yeah, snow-covered was kind of a two-edged sword. And it wasn't very well utilized. ColdSnap did damage to players equal to the number of snow-covered lands they control. The snow-covered land mechanic was not popular amongst a lot of players. It did get used. I know it did get used, but it just wasn't popular. A lot of people despised it. I'm glad that they actually did do something to set it apart in ColdSnap when they brought that out. Coincidentally, last Ice Age video I flubbed on when ColdSnap came out because my own perception of when it came out was skewed, to be perfectly honest. I was in Texas in the Army in training when ColdSnap came out, so the first time I actually saw ColdSnap was late 2006 when I was in Germany, sometime in fall, early winter, sometime around then. So my perception on that was skewed. Someone pointed out that I was wrong on it. I double checked. I can't even remember who pointed it out. I wish I could remember, and I'm not looking it up right now. So yeah. Zurn Orb, 0 casting cost artifact, sack lands for life. Ended up being such a powerful card that it became restricted. Basically, the idea is that It is a reusable life gain, and that alone makes it more powerful than most life gain cards, which generally are weak. But what the orb basically did is it let control decks prolong the stall. They could survive longer until they finally got their control combos up and going. Ghostly Flame, interesting card. It's a red-black card. It's an enchantment. It says red and black permanents and spells are considered colorless sources of damage. That was mostly an anti-circle of protection kind of thing. Red and black were both infamous for having little to no way to deal with enchantments, especially the color hosing enchantments in white. Your circles, predominantly your circles of protection. So that's pretty much why that was printed. I don't recall it ever seeing a lot of play. And interestingly enough, though, you did see it, an homage to it with the Ghost Flame sliver somewhere in Time Spiral Block. Last card I had put aside that I want to talk about is Nature's Blessing, 2 colorless, white-green, enchantment. Pump a white and a green and discard a card. Target creature gains banding, first strike, trample, or a +1/+1 counter. Note that nowhere on there does any of those say till end of turn. That was fun stuff. I used to abuse that card a little bit. Alright, a lot. Permanently giving a creature first strike for the cost of pitching a card wasn't bad. It really wasn't. I mean, hey, I've got an extra land. He's first strike. You didn't kill him. He's got a +1/+1 counter. You didn't kill him. Whatever. Banding could also be fun at times. Real fun. But, yeah. So anyways, I'm going to file the rest of this stuff away. Post this video up. Well, I'm going to post the video up, then file the stuff. Whatever. And, hopefully sometime soon all my ColdSnap will turn up. I don't know what the hey happened on that one. If I had an answer, I'd give it. I'd especially like to have an answer because I'm probably more interested in the answer than you guys are. You know? Alright, have a good night, fellas. Be safe.